Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we have an awesome recipe that we're gonna do. It's a take on one of Coach Greg's recipes that's in his new cookbook, protein popcorn. We're gonna make it the same way with a couple changes that we're gonna do to make it an Oreo anabolic protein popcorn. It is going to be so good. I've been doing it this way because all I actually had was the cookies and cream protein powder. I tried it with this initially instead of the chocolate the actual recipe calls for, and this is so good. If you like Oreo cookies, if you like cookies and cream, anything, you're never gonna wanna have popcorn a different way after this. So we're gonna get going, we're gonna get right into it. Let's start off with the ingredients. Of course, we have our Quest cookies and cream protein powder. We have our pre-popped air popper popcorn that we did already. That's been done. We didn't have any Vita Fiber, so I used another 0-calorie sweetener, wholesome allulose, as a substitute. There isn't any fiber in this like there is in the Vita Fiber, but it's pretty good. It gets the job done. It gives you the sweetness. You just don't have the extra fiber, which is good. But I think there's enough fiber in the popcorn that it's not gonna make that big of a difference. We have our Walden Farms pancake syrup that we're gonna use also. So we're gonna measure out our liquid sweetener first. We need 60 grams of this, so we'll zero out our scale, and then we'll just keep adding till we get to our 60 grams that we need there. There's 30, and right on the money, 60. Okay, so I'm gonna microwave this for 30 seconds, and then we're gonna get back to the recipe. Okay, so we have our microwaved liquid sweetener. That's ready to go. Next, we need to add our Walden Farm syrup, and we need 30 grams of this. I'm gonna add that in there. Zero up the scale. Get this up to 30 grams, and we have 30 grams exactly on there. And then we need 1 scoop or 33 grams of our protein powder here, our cookies and cream Quest protein powder. So we're just gonna not go too crazy with measuring it. We're just gonna go with 1 scoop. Drop that in there. Good. All right. Got all our ingredients. Not a lot of ingredients that go into it. Only 3 plus the popcorn, 4 total ingredients. So we're gonna start mixing this all together. So just kind of fold it in to the liquid, and you kind of see there, it just comes together pretty quick. Bowl's pretty warm from being in the microwave, so this will mix up nice. All right, so one of the important things you want to remember to do with the popcorn, like Greg mentioned in his video when he did his popcorn protein recipe, you want to make sure you get all the kernels out that don't pop. I used an ear popper, so there wasn't a ton that didn't actually pop, but there's still a few. There's probably, I would say, about 5 or 6 even with the air popper. You want to take those out, because the last thing you want to do is bite into this when you're done with it and it's tasting so good, and then you end up cracking a tooth because you didn't take a kernel out. So we'll mix this up really nice, and it really does look like I just liquefied some Oreos there. See if we can get that focus a little bit. That's what it looks like. All right, not too appetizing there, but from here, the other great thing about this recipe is that it's super easy to make. So after you've done your mixture, all you really have to do then is just add it into the bowl of popcorn. Already got it popped here. Just dump it in. Make sure you can get as much of it out of the bowl as you can. Don't want to miss any of that protein. All right, so we're done there. Awesome, and then this is probably the most challenging part of the recipe, is mixing it all together, because you want to make sure you get some of the mix on all the popcorn. It's a little hard at first. Once it starts to mix in, it does get a little bit easier, but until then you're kind of folding the popcorn over, trying to get as much, and then some of it will sink to the bottom, and you keep constantly having to move the popcorn around, and then pieces will fall out. As you see here, pieces are falling out, and I'm dropping them back in the bowl because we don't want to miss any of the popcorn, right? All right, so we're mixing away here. Takes a little bit of time. Well, that was a popcorn explosion there. Lost a few pieces. All right, pop them all back in there. Pun intended. Falling all over the place here. All right, so we just keep mixing. eventually, the more, like I said, the more popcorn you get covered, the easier it gets to stir. It becomes kind of a sticky mess, which actually, funny enough, makes it actually easier. Sticky mess. Oh, that's what she said, huh? Okay, so we're mixing away, and now it's getting easier to work with. Now, like I said, some of the mix kind of sinks to the bottom in this. What you want to do is, as you're stirring, you want to kind of scrape at the bottom to cover all the popcorn, because at first it seems like there's not enough of the mixture to go on all the popcorn, but there actually is if you keep kind of digging for it and folding it up top with the wet pieces, so the dry pieces go to the bottom. And you just mix it in. And we are really starting to look like we're making some Oreo popcorn here. All right, so keep mixing around here. And that's just about as long as it takes there. Okay, and by the time you're done with it, that's what it looks like there. Gooey popcorn mess with all that good protein, cookies and cream, Oreo flavored, ready to go. So what you want to do from here is you want to pop it into the freezer for about 15 or 30 minutes. So we're going to do that. We'll come back and we'll try it. All right, here we go. Okay, so it's been about 25-30 minutes since we put it in the freezer. So we're going to take it out now and we're going to give it a little taste test and see what it tastes like. All right, so here we have the finished product out of the freezer. We let it sit in there for about 15 or 30 minutes. I did actually 25. I think that's a good amount of time to do it. So now what we're gonna do is give it a taste. So even after you take it out of the freezer, maybe if you left it in longer, it wouldn't be like this, but after you take it out of the freezer, it's still a little sticky. So you are gonna get a little bit of stickiness on your hand, but totally worth it because this recipe is pretty awesome. All right, so let's get a good amount here that we're gonna try. Not bad. Yeah, that's good. It's good. Now, does it taste exactly like an Oreo cookie? No, because nothing tastes exactly like an Oreo cookie except for an Oreo cookie. But is it 80% as good? Is it 90% as good? It's probably somewhere in there in terms of flavor. Would it satisfy a sugar craving? I think so. With all the fiber and volume in this popcorn, it's definitely going to keep you full between meals if you use this as a snack. And you're getting a lot of protein in here. I think it's 33 grams, let me be exact. It's 20 grams actually. 20 grams of protein in one scoop. It was 33 grams we measured in. So in this, you're getting 20 grams of protein. What would normally be just plain old popcorn would have very little, maybe 1 or 2 grams of protein in it. So you've actually made your popcorn snack into a high protein snack, which is always what we're looking for, right? All right. And the thing is, once you start eating it, it's very hard to stop. So you might find yourself eating the whole thing. You could at the very least eat half and save half for later or the next day, but it's unlikely that'll happen. You might also want to try using a spoon when you're eating it, because my hand's getting, I don't know if you can see that, pretty sticky. But no, simple recipe, easy to do. It's only 4 ingredients. It takes about 5 minutes to make tops, plus putting it into the freezer for about 15 or 30 minutes. So you definitely want to do it ahead of time before you're hungry, so it's ready to go. And also a great snack to have in between meals or just whenever you want to stave off a sugar craving. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks. Bye.